How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video, the last video here of the Road to Pro series. This is going to be our breakdown, myself and Kent Mittelstaedt's breakdown here for the Upper Chesapeake Bay. We're going to let Kenny jump into it, see how he did. Got another top 20 finish. Did very, very well at this event. Had some adjustments going into it, and yeah, it'd be a great tournament for him. Let's hear from him, then we'll get into my breakdown shortly after.
What's going on, everybody? Just wrapped up the Upper Chesapeake Bassmaster Open tournament in 16th place with a little over 20 pounds over 2 days. Finished just like 1.5 pounds out of the top 10 cut, which equated to probably just one more keeper fish, but ended up with only 8 fish, but man, it was a tough tournament for everybody, so that was good enough for 16th place, which is awesome. But just wanted to talk real quick about the baits I was using. Alright, so here are the 3 baits that I caught all my fish on in the tournament, and actually in all of practice the only few fish that I caught were all on the spinnerbait. This little spinnerbait right here allowed me to kind of search around and find some of the areas that ended up producing for me in the tournament. So it was a really important bait. It is the compact spinnerbait from Bassman, and it's just a little 3/8 ounce spinnerbait with a number 4 willow on it and just a little Colorado blade. And I tipped that with a Arsenal tactical minnow, a 3.5 inch, and I love that tactical minnow as a spinnerbait or chatterbait trailer. Just has great action on the back of any of those types of baits. It's good on a ball head too, but love it as a trailer. I had that on this St. Croix Legend Tournament bass, 7 foot, medium heavy, moderate fast action sweeper rod, they call it. It's made for spinnerbaits, and it's just an awesome rod for it. It's got enough strength to it where you can rip the bait out of grass if you need to, but it's got enough parabolic bend to it that you keep fish pegged really good. Had on 20-pound line on a 7.3-to-1 Daiwa Tutula, and just great combination. It was really fun to catch the smallmouth on it. They were like ripping the rod out of my hand when the conditions were right. We got less wind and way more sun during the tournament, so this bait didn't play as much as I thought it was going to, just because of those conditions. But I did get one key smallmouth on it on day 1 that filled out my limit, and actually, I take that back. I did catch 2 smallmouth on it. Both of my smallmouth on day 1 came on it. But anyway, so did a lot of my damage with a largemouth with this Zoom Magnum trickworm. It's on a 1/4 ounce Arsenal tungsten weight with 4/0 Superline EWG hook. I've got it on a 7 foot medium heavy St. Croix Avid rod. As you can tell, this rod is from like the early 2000s, mid 2000s, something like that. I've had it forever, but it's one of my favorite rods. It's just a workhorse. It's held up. Just love that rod. It's real versatile. You can do a lot of things with it, but overall great worming rod for sure. And then day 2, I've got again my couple of big largemouth on that Zoom trickworm again, and then I went smallmouth fishing and had to adjust because the conditions got so calm that the spinnerbait just didn't make any sense at all. So I switched over to a Senko, and I was throwing it around kind of a gradual tapering weed line that was pretty sandy and had some like grass patches to it, a lot of open patches of sand too. And so I slowed down and just threw a Senko around. It was actually a Berkeley Max scent, 5-inch General, and I was throwing it on this 7 foot medium Legend Extreme from St. Croix. and it's a fantastic finesse rod. It's got a lot of sensitivity to it, and one of my favorite rods to kind of throw any of your lighter presentations on. Had it on a number 2 Neko hook from VMC. It's one of my favorite drop shot hooks, and it's a really good Senko wacky rig hook too, and 3000 size Shimano Stratic reel, and that was basically it. These are the baits that led me to a 16th place finisher at the Upper Chesapeake, and super happy with the outcome. Wished I could have cranked out one more fish and made the cut, but nonetheless, great tournament, and exciting way to end the year for sure.
So there's how Kent broke it down and was able to get, like I said, a top 20 finish there in the Upper Chesapeake Bay. Very, very stingy fishery. And we kind of did some of the same things, maybe fished a little bit of the areas, but he was able to get keyed in on one of the aspects that he talked about there to be able to get those smallmouth and stuff offshore. I didn't get many bites during the tournament and in practice, so I'm just going to talk about a few baits that I did and some of the strategy that I went into that ultimately got me a pretty low placement, but some of the things that I learned while I was there. I went shallow fishing. I found some cleaner water. Hindsight 2020, I probably should have went and tried to find some dirtier water. The fish around docks, the first or second day I was there, I ended up getting like a 4-pounder. And with that fish, fishing around docks and falling tide, and what I did is I started throwing spinnerbait. I threw this one around a lot. It's just a 1/2 ounce accent spinnerbait, excuse me. You can see the wires all bent up. I started skipping this around docks, and predominantly has to do with the Arsenal tactical minnow on the back there, 4.5 inch. You guys have seen me talk about that a lot. Arsenal, excuse me, is a partner with Kent, and so I was able to get exposure to these swim baits, and they work pretty good, especially for skipping. So threw this around some of the shallower water with a bigger blade. It's a big Indiana blade there with a Colorado orange kicker on there. Threw that around a lot, and then came to the tournament, and I was out in more open water scenario. I threw this one around. Let me get it off here for you. I threw another spinnerbait around. Basically had to do with blade combinations for me. This is a Booyah 4-bladed spinnerbait. You don't see these a whole lot, but I throw this around if I want a spinnerbait to get a little bit deeper, and if I'm around more of a bait fish and clear water scenario. Water wasn't super clear, so I still went with the white and chartreuse, which is good dirty water color. Same thing, same little swim bait on the back there. I cut it down to fit the bait a little bit better. Threw that around in some of the open water stuff that Kent was targeting in practice as well. Both combos for the spinnerbaits thrown on the same setup. This is the Cast King Spirali. Remember to get this right. This is a 7.4 medium heavy, the 7.4 medium heavy model. This is 70/30 composite rod that's designed by Cliff Crochet. And really like this. Has got a parabolic bend to it. Cast King Bassmaster Elite 6:6 to 1 gear ratio reel. I like that little bit slower gear ratio reel. Anytime I'm moving baits, for the most part, I'm going down to a 6:6 to 1 nowadays. So that was my setup for my spinnerbait. In practice, like I said, I wasn't able to get a lot of bites. But what I went to do is I started targeting wood and laydowns, especially on slack high tide, because there's a lot of water sitting on those laydowns. And what I threw a lot was this, it's a little round ball jig. It's one I make here in my garage from one of the Do It molds. It's kind of like an Okeechobee color. I made these for the James River to imitate a blue crab. I'm not sure if they had blue crabs up in these river systems that I was off the Upper Chesapeake, but they did have these. You see crab traps everywhere. So trying to emulate a smaller one. That's just a little zoom chunk on the back there. You can dye the tail, whatever, but I'd end up skipping these around the laydowns and then yo-yo fishing them through there. Got a few bites doing that, but not a whole lot. That rod, I went a little bit more sensitive setup. This is the Cast King Para G2. This is 7.1 medium heavy, so a little bit different than the 7.4 medium heavy you hear me talk about a lot. And then I went with that, so it allows me to throw this little 3/8 ounce jig around places, get more of a sling for skipping and stuff. Speed Demon Elite, 10.5 to 1 gear ratio, fastest reel on the market. You see me talk about that a lot. I ran a 30-pound Cast King Super Power Braid mainline to a 20-pound Cast King covert 100% fluorocarbon leader. The leader size didn't really matter. I just added that just in case. I like how the braid allows me to skip a little bit better and use braid all year long in there. So when it came to tournament day, I did all those things. Threw the spinnerbait around docks on multiple different tides. Threw the jig around wood on low outgoing, high incoming, and even high tide, high slack tide, hoping to be able to get a bite in two of the most predominant areas that I found. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out. The only thing I was able to get a bite on was the old trusty, a bait that I probably should have thrown a lot more at Oneida, and probably that I should have thrown. I threw it a lot as a co-angler, but I never really did throw it this year for some reason. I just didn't find it to the front deck of my boat, and that's chatterbait. I did get my one bite of the tournament, offshore grass. Elected to go with the half-ounce Z-Man jackhammer chatterbait. Like I said, it's a half-ounce green pumpkin trailer with black and blue skirt. I really like that combination. The water wasn't super clean, but the water wasn't super dirty. And I think this coming through the water gives a real natural presentation. On the back here, we have a Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On, kind of your fork tail swim bait thing on there. Allowed me to cast it and get it down to a little deeper depth than some of those boot tail trailers. So I elected to go with that. Threw it around grass, ripped it through the shallow, or not shallow, but the shorter grass. I don't know if it was anywhere from 9 to 13 feet, somewhere like that. But most of my moving baits, if you haven't seen a theme here, it's going to be the same thing. The Cast King 7.4, medium heavy spirale, 70-30 composite with the Bassmaster Elite, 6.6 to 1 gear ratio reel. This one I had, same as the other spinnerbait one, 15 pound, 100% Cast King covered fluorocarbon. These are kind of my moving bait rods, my bread and butter. So that's our setup. We didn't catch as many fish as we'd like, didn't have as good a tournament as we'd like, but overall as a 2022 year, I took a lot of positives from jumping from co-angler for the last 2 to 3 years to the front of the boat. Was able to fish with buddy Kent quite a bit in these tournaments, learn a lot, bounce ideas off each other, and that's what fishing is really about. So I appreciate you guys. Stay tuned for all the Road to Pro series. We're going to change it up a little bit next year, I think. I'm not 100% sure on what my plans or Kent's plans are, but make sure you follow Kenny Mitt Fishing, all his social medias, and me here at Preston Outdoors to watch what we're going to announce for the 2023 season. I'm sitting in the boat here, and I miss it already. It's been probably 3 weeks since I've had the boat out here, and yeah, even though we've been doing some hunting, this is definitely what I can't wait for 2023 with our announcements and to get back after some fishing. Exciting news coming. Like I said, check out all those social medias. We'll be announcing it hopefully shortly. So thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate the support this year, and stay tuned for next year. We'll see you later.